So we're going to move into our program. This is our summer series, so we kind of make it a little lighter and easier. It's good to see so many people show up in the audience for this too. During the summer, I know it's typically a little bit lighter for sure, but part of this is to grant an opportunity for young adults to have an opportunity for public speaking. Behind us are the 4 youth that the Society for Ethical Culture hired for this summer to work for us and with us on some projects, which I'll mention in a second. This is an opportunity for them also to do some public speaking, so this is a way for them to get out there. We hope to be able to create opportunities for young adults to learn what it means to be a community leader, to sometimes stand up and make a presence, and also to share their wisdom with us in a conversation with all of you. This September, of course, is the big Climate Week challenge in Manhattan at the New York Society for Ethical Culture, which is our sister organization in Manhattan. And once again, they bring youth from across the country and people to come speak at that conference. And this is part of the kind of whole thing we're trying to do in ethical culture to help prepare that next generation to be to deal with the challenges ahead of them, especially as regards to climate change. We have some pretty things to worry about the way that our climate is getting worse and worse. It's hotter and hotter. The storms are getting more and more powerful. Wildfires out in California more destructive. We just keep seeing things happening more and more and more. Unfortunately, that is caused by us and our generation in this room, and in a way we're leaving this to them to figure out how to fix and how to clean up and to respond to. So part of what we try to do in our effort of preparing the next generation is to create opportunities for them to learn how to do all kinds of things. I don't care if you're going to be a hairdresser or a lawyer or a school teacher or a librarian, knowing how to put tools in your hands, knowing the work that it takes to get something done, knowing what you have to do and plan and program makes you part of that community leader to respond to the challenges that are coming up here. So they're pretty nervous, I'm sure, behind me. I asked them their kind of their first opportunity to do this, so we're going to be very gentle with them. We're going to do some questions for all of us in the room to participate, but I'm going to first just kind of show you the projects that they're working on. The youth here are working up to a 40-hour work week. It's been a little warm. I don't know if you've noticed. We'd say warm in Texas. It's pretty warm out there right now, and they persevered through all of that. I think it's the great knowing that they're getting paid $15 an hour. How much did you get paid for your first summer job, Jim?
Well, back in the Stone Age, I got a pebble or two.
You were paid with rocks back then, right? Yeah. Same as me. I think $2.75 an hour was $2.50 an hour or something like that. They're getting $15 an hour, right? So that's more money than I make now. So it's pretty great. But part of that is to create a living wage to understand youth that this is a job, that this is a career, that people get paid for meaningful things. I personally don't like it when we ask youth to keep volunteering for everything, because it often sends the message that the most important work that we ask them to do is not something we don't even think is worth getting paid for. So we found the money to recruit these young adults. They get to work alongside about 12, how many? 20 or how many? A bunch of people at our partner Groundwork Elizabeth, so they're not alone. It's not just one little sad little group working together. They are working about that, and I'd like to show you a couple of slides of the work that they're doing. If I could share my screen now, Peter.
Yep, you're all set, Kurt.
That's our uniform shirt. I'm a little sad that it came out darker than I wanted it to, but we're calling our team the Planet and Progress team of the ethical culture. to think about not only that we have our concerns with our planet, but how do you build that green city of the future? What's it going to take for the conversation for all of us? That what does it look like going forward? We're not just going to shrink or pull back. We're going to probably continue to have more and more people. We're still going to need large amounts of energies, but there are ways to do these sustainably, and that's the kind of work that we're hoping to engage them in. Next slide. Push it one time to see if it works. One second there. So I'd like to introduce our 4 young adults. On the top left there, you see Raphael Thomas, and I'll let him talk about himself in a second. To the top right, we see Anissa Thomas. You may see a pattern there. They are indeed brothers and sisters, but when we interviewed them, we were very, very impressed with both of them. Tribute to you, Mom. They're really great kids. Very I could tell they come from a great home, that's for sure. Bottom left, we have Lucas Blanduja, and then the bottom right, we have Jeremiah, who's right there as well. So Himley, is that correct? Jeremiah. And I'm going to let you just hear just a little bit about themselves. So I'm going to ask you to say kind of how old you are, and just maybe one sentence about yourself if you want to.
I'm Luca. I'm 15. I like going to the gym. I love cars, and yeah.
Hi, I'm Anissa. I'm 20, and I'm a third-year software engineering major at RIT.
Hi, I'm Raphael Thomas II, and I'm 18 years old, and I'm a music producer.
Hey, my name is Jeremiah. I'm 18, a senior in high school, and I like the outdoors.
Okay, great. And I'll show you some of the work that they're doing. What they're doing right there, by the way, is we taught them some stonework. This was their first project. There's about 190 feet of steps that us and our partners with Groundwork Elizabeth put together. And what they're doing is the whole bottom side of the steps had washed out, and they're learning how to put rocks and what we call crib walls to support that. So that means standing in the dirt on the other side of that, picking up heavy stones, and then learning how to fit them in just there so that stairs get supported. And that shows them working with the other team from Groundwork Elizabeth. They're further up the hill right there. But you could see all the youth are carrying these stones down, which they found up inside the hill. This is at Patterson Great Falls National Historic Site. And what they're doing is, like I said, we had to restore those staircases and rebuild that so people could get safely down to the water. Next one, Jeremiah. Oh, go back. Let's see. And at the end, what they had to do is we had to build a staircase. So this is a custom-built staircase. We cut the tread boards, as you can see on the side. The stringers going on there as well. I was really, really helpful to Anissa. She could sit there holding the carpenter square and her brother Raphael, because what I had to do is I had to stand there and figure out how to make this thing, which was tilted in different directions and all this kind of stuff, fit the landscape that where we were in. They were very patient with me as I worked out the math, trying to figure out how to do that, but they also took really good measurements on different parts. And we'll let them talk about a little bit of the projects they were doing as well up there. Next slide over. And there's a picture of Jeremiah. So, go back. So the other group was camping, and we went over there to hang out with them a little bit. Jeremiah hanging out, and also with him on the steps there, helping to take out some gear and gets the work ready. One time. Then we went out to Sandy Hook National Seashore. There are some historic structures there. These were bus stops where they got destroyed by Hurricane Sandy, never repaired again. And part of what we're doing is learning to do historic preservation, which means like for like. So you can see Anissa has one of the historic trusses, one of the rafter boards right there. And what she's doing is she's measuring that so that we can replicate the board that was too rotted to be used again. Next one. Back to the stairs again. And part of that, as you can see, now we're putting the steps all the way down. There's Luca right in front of you, securing what are called the kicker boards and the work. And they're going up and down this hill. And down below is the river that we're trying to get access to for a way. Next one. I think that's it. Yep. So that's just some of the work that they're doing. Next week, they're going to be at Patterson Great Falls National Historic Site. If any of you ever want to come by there, the park has asked us to install a kiosk, which is kind of like a big French-looking thing, so that people can go up and get information on the trails. They're going to be doing this all by themselves. For the 1 week, they work just by themselves there, out at the park, and figuring out how putting that all together and building that so that tens of thousands of tourists who come to the park can use that as an information board installed by them. And then the week after that, we're going to be going to Phil Rosito Park. They're going to be putting in a raised walkway, which means probably using a hand auger and helical piers that get screwed into the ground, giant screws to weight that things down. And then coming back here, and then we're going to do some inside stuff, and we're going to teach them how to do some work around here for the outside. So we're doing some inside and outside construction and to learn all these new unique skills. So the first question I'm going to ask for you, you've only been doing this now for a couple of weeks. Do you think you've learned from it? And what are some of the things that you've learned that you found the most valuable, if you want to start? And we'll start here again.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot during this just 3-week period of starting this job. Before this, I didn't really know how to do roofing. And at Sandy Hook, at the end of the week, we mostly did the roofing of the bus stop, and I learned a lot during that. And I also learned a lot about objects, like what they're called and certain things, and the correct names of certain tools as well.
Yeah, I did learn a lot. We've been doing this for 2 weeks now, and I would say I'm a very crafty person. So a lot of times I'm coming home and having these ideas like, oh, we can fix the garage roof, or we can do whatever around the house. Yeah. And another thing is Kurt is teaching us all of the correct terms for all the tools and all the things we're building, and that's really helpful in specifying when you're working with people what you need to be done. So I find myself using these terms instead of saying, oh, put the thing on the thing and use that tool to put it together. It's way more helpful to use the actual terms for it.
Yeah, I would say I learned a lot. A lot of the things I learned have been like things that you would never even think of looking up. Like, I don't know how many people knew that each step is 7 inches in between. Like, one step is 7 inches higher than the other. Like, it's nothing that crazy, but nothing you would ever think to look up and learn on your own. Also, like, measuring tape the red label every 16 inches is the distance between the studs in the wall. So I thought that was cool too. So now I could use that to mount my TV. And just last week we were painting bus stops, and I've been trying to get my room repainted for years now, so I could do that myself too.
I learned a lot, and
Hold that a little closer to you, yeah.
I learned a lot, and I learned about different types of paint, like latex or oil-based, and I learned what goes into these construction projects and the effort that goes into it.
Thank you. So one of the things that we learn, and it's a tool and a technique. The name's going to sound controversial as soon as I say it, called the broken window theory. But it was a theory that basically said that one of the ways that we can work on our communities is to clean things up and fix things and repair things, because when things get repaired, it's almost like people are paying attention to the place, and they made the world a little bit better, and so it's less likely to get messed up, and to put some eyes on the trail so that more people are down there and more people feel safe. So it's a theory we have in landscape and community redevelopment, which is to invest into the community. And it seems like a no-brainer in a way, but a lot of people don't understand why are they putting in that park and why are they doing that. But it's part of this idea that as we continue to work on our own houses and fix things up, people respond well to that. You had a lot of people who were coming up and down the trail, and sometimes they were using our trail that we built. What did you think when I was talking about broken window theory? Is this something you think made a difference to those people? Did they notice? Did people thank you? Did they say anything? Does anybody respond? Lucas?
Yeah, I definitely think that people were appreciative of the work that we did, because as we were doing the work, there were a lot of people coming through to go to the river to fish and everything. And I actually remember when I was going to get a tool from Kurt's truck, someone passing by the trail actually thanked us for all the work that we've done. And it just goes to show that just fixing little things like that really makes a big difference to the community.
Anyone else want to add anything to it at all? And as far as the kind of work that we were doing, I know it was kind of remote. We're down by the river. Not many people have access to that place. Probably people, when they walk downstairs, don't even know that someone repaired it. But why would we do something like that? Why do you think it makes a difference to them, especially down there at the end where y'all put in the steps?
Well, a lot of people were actually going down there to go fishing, so you can just see like it's an important area to them, even though I'm not from the area and it's not as important to me. You could obviously tell that to some people it's extremely important. So yeah.
Now we're going to talk a little bit and shift gears, because one of the things we talked to them and continue to talk is about the need for climate change. My own feeling is that we can sit there and talk about all the dangers and we all can get sad and gloomy, or we can just learn things and prepare the next generation to do that. So we're going to use you as representative sample of young adults in America. Well, of course, none of us speaks for all people in all times and all places. We do not all speak for our various generations, our cohorts, our ethnic backgrounds, our race. We're just a sample of that. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions. To what extent do you and your friends even ever talk about climate change? Is it an issue, or you don't ever talk about it at all? Anissa, I think you were the one who mentioned that you do kind of speak about it, but others maybe not so much.
Yeah, so there's some times where me and my friends will talk about it. I remember one time one of my friends posted on her Instagram story, about how she kept getting all of these videos on TikTok about climate change and what's happening to our environments and all of that. And just getting that constant stream of like knowing what's happening, she said she was getting so much anxiety about the climate and climate change and the climate crisis that she just had to delete TikTok for a little bit and just had to take a break from it. So yeah, it's a topic we talk about sometimes.
Okay. Anyone else want to add to that? Raphael.
I'm gonna be completely honest, because I think that's the whole point of this, is that my friends and I almost never talk about climate change whatsoever, but I'm pretty sure we're all aware of the issue that it is. It's just that, like, when everybody talks about how is already irreversible damage done to the planet, as well as the fact that the real deadly, like, situations that come from it might be when we're not even alive anymore. I think it's a lot of people who are aware of the how bad it is, but they don't do anything to stop it because they think it's out of their control.
Okay. Anyone else want to add to that? So we're going to try a little bit of an experiment using you in the room. We all heard about climate change and things that we need to do. I'm going to ask people in this audience to pitch an idea to the youth that they think would make a difference. Like if you wanted, now you're not going to solve all problems, but if there were some little things that you think people should do, what is it that you should hope that the young adults do, or that we would do differently as humans? And they're going to tell you whether or not they think their young generation would buy that, or how they would adapt it, or how they would think about it themselves. So you're going to pitch an idea to them briefly. I've thought about climate change. Here's what I think we need to do. Try and sell that to the youth, and then they're going to give you their honest feedback. So we're going to do a little give and take in a conversation with young adults. Does anybody have an idea? What's one thing that you would do to help combat climate change, and how would you change the way we operate as humans or in society? And anyone want to come forward and take a shot at that? All right, Jim first, then Susan. Rose, did you want to come too? All right, Jim first.
Well, first I want to say I'm in absolute awe of what you guys are doing down there. It's amazing, and I want to thank you very much. I thought...
We try this a little different because your back is to everybody.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm going to have you stand here.
Okay.
Let me see if that's any
All right. So, I noticed as I saw these pictures of you working on the stairs are going down toward the water. You're not really in the water, but you're facilitating an approach to the water. You're making it possible for people to get to the water. For me, water is just about the most extremely important aspect of what we need to preserve in order to preserve our climate and our planet. And I'm wondering if you've had any thought about actually involving yourselves in a project that actually gets you onto the water, and if you would be interested in boat building, just to build your own boats so you can sort of get onto the water. I think that that's an interesting approach, and I'm wondering what you think about that.
All right, let me just kind of add to that. So Jim has actually built his own boat. He's a boat builder and a craftsman around that. And he has this idea, as do other groups, that perhaps if we get more people like out into nature and participating on it, that would make a difference. And then teaching young adults to build their own boats. So you've heard your first pitch of an idea. Would it work for you? Would you do it? Would you think your friends would do it? Or how would you adapt it, or you don't think would work? And so let's come down this line here. If anyone wants to respond.
Yeah, personally, I think it's a great idea because of the aspect of getting people more involved in nature, and with a boat, the water just kind of gives off like a nice energy. As I do have my own boat, my dad does. I always love staying there. Just because of how it feels more connected. You can feel every wave. It's very nice and calming, and I feel a lot more people would need that experience to feel more connected into nature.
And in fact, you just got your own captain's license, right? So
Yeah.
Why did you go to that trouble? What is it about the water you think is appealing?
I think the idea of being able to really go anywhere and having your own freedom with a boat is just so amazing to me. And also I love just being on the water and looking at nature and the cities from the water as well.
Others, boat building, idea of being on the water, that kind making a connection. Would that be a way to get more people interested in thinking about our planet? Anissa?
Yeah, I think the idea of learning how to build a boat sounds really, really cool, especially since I have absolutely no idea how that even starts or how that even works. That would be something really interesting to learn about. And I noticed being in Patterson and just last week on Sandy Hook how much I really enjoy being near the water. Just like from where we were working on the bus stop at Sandy Hook, we could see the ocean, and I just found myself kind of on a break or something, just like staring at it, and it's very peaceful, zen, relaxing. And I think that could actually be helpful to a lot of people, just to have access to that, to be on water. Yeah.
Okay, so we had our first vote. Pretty good response there. And I'm trying to get one of these to work. Hello, can you hear me now? One more thing. Can y'all hear me online? All right, next, Susan. She's going to try and sell an idea to you there.
All right, so, is that on?
Yeah, it's just easy to be louder.
Okay. So, actually, kind of dovetailing off of Jim's idea around the water, and I know that you down at Sandy Hook were repairing the bus stops because of the storm, Sandy. So people like to live near the water. However, with all these storms, there's much more of an impact on people living close to the water. So my idea is being aware of climate change, choosing where you're living so that you know that these storms are going to be coming. It's not just along the Atlantic coast either. It's along the Mississippi. It's along the Gulf. It's along all where, I mean, islands are going to be completely unlivable because they're going to be under the water. So that's my proposal. Be conscious of where you're going to be living.
Yeah, so to what extent are y'all thinking about, do you think about tiny houses? Do you think about alternative energies? Do you think about the impact that just your residence has on that? And who'd like to share? Anissa?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Me and my mom actually are really into tiny houses, tiny living, vans. I've been really looking into van life recently, and that's something I'm really interested in doing within the next couple years. And actually being down at Sandy Hook, I really liked the environment, and I'm kind of imagining myself maybe living in it, because I would really like to live down by the beach, but I'm kind of imagining myself living in a van down by the beach. And then when it's hurricane season, you can move away for however long you need to. But also with that, I'm a bit concerned about carbon emissions, and also there's a lot of details about living in just a tiny space like that. But that's something I'm really interested in.
Anyone else want to add to that? You're thinking about where to live or how to live differently? Nope. Jeremiah?
I asked my parents to add solar panels to our house like a long time ago, and we could recycle more and have other alternative energies like water power or wind power.
Yep. So we need to think about how we can make our houses more energy efficient, finding ways to do that, because that is an issue going as well. Anyone else have an idea that they'd like to sell? Yes, here, then Diane. Okay, and then we'll take a couple from Zoom.
Yep.
Okay. Hi everyone, good morning. I'm so happy to be here. I think this is like absolutely amazing. And it's like, I mean, it's my first encounter with the Ethical Society, and I feel like it's a best kept secret, this little community. And I wonder how the youths could go out there. You know, we have a handful here. You have a handful. How could they go out there and really encourage their peers, their friends, or in their school community to really build on this wonderful opportunity? Because the more they get involved, I mean, we will have a lot going on. We will really have a movement. And I know a lot is happening, but we still need so much more to happen. So how could you bring this to your little community in your school environment or your friends to have this grow?
And do you think your friends would be interested in something like this or doing that work? You guys know how hard it is, how hot it is, how difficult it is. Do you think your friends would want to do that?
Yeah, so I actually learned about this opportunity from one of my good friends, Sasha Kaplan. She's been going here for, I think, to the Sunday school for years, and then I think she started working here. And she found out about this opportunity through email, but unfortunately she wasn't able to do it this summer. So she told me about it, and she told me about the program, and it just sounded really awesome. And then she said, and you're paid for it, which was like, yeah, really, really cool. I think in my friend group, a lot of my friends would be really interested in doing this, but unfortunately we are a bit out of the age range, but it is something like a lot of my friends would be interested in.
And you want to do software engineering. That's what you're in college for,
Yeah.
correct? And be
Yeah.
a software engineer. Do you think it's been valuable? I mean, I've been telling you that people should learn construction and then just how to do it. Do you think there really is value in that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because everyone has to live somewhere, so you learning these skills, you know how to fix your surroundings or just know a little bit more about it. So maybe you don't have to hire 10 people to fix something in your house.
Yep, it's a sense of empowerment. Luca, you want to, or Raphael? Let's do Luca and then Raphael.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is a great opportunity for youth because learning construction and learning how to do things by yourself is definitely a very valuable tool to have in life because you don't have to rely on others, and it's a great learning experience. It's been very fun working with the other people from Groundwork Elizabeth. It's just been a overall great opportunity to learn and have fun and also build things that help the community in all national parks.
And Luca, you have a passion for cars. You talked about it. In fact, you're trying to restore your own car. Why not just buy a brand new car? What's the interest in you in learning how to fix and build a car?
Personally, I just really fell in love with my car is a 300ZX. I just love how like older cars are, and I feel like all the technology and stuff in newer cars aren't really much needed, although electric cars are very nice for a feature.
Mm-hmm. And Raphael, did you want to add something to that? Do you think your friends would be interested?
Yeah, I think my friends could be interested because basically what we're learning, you always need construction, you always need something done anywhere. And like my sister mentioned earlier, we could fix the garage roof. I mentioned earlier I could mount my TV and repaint my room myself, but also like I mentioned earlier, I'm a music producer, and one of my goals is to open my own studio. And just having a background knowledge in construction, I could probably do a lot of what needs to go into it. I could do a lot of it myself, as well as know the prices of, like, if I need any other assistance, I won't be getting ripped off or anything because I know what everything needs.
All right. And Jeremiah, do you think your friends would be interested in learning how to do this kind of work?
Yes, and they'll be interested in the climate impact too.
Yep. And then how this is actually playing their role that they can in the climate as well. Let's take one online, Peter, and then we're going to come back to Diana in the room.
Sure. Esther, you can press *6 to unmute on your phone.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
A little louder, please.
Yep.
You guys are doing great work, and I'm just so impressed with all of you. The thing that I'm thinking about, I've been an avid biker in lately, although I hurt myself because the roads are in such bad shape around here. And one of the great things about Bergen County and North Jersey is that everything's kind of close together. You know, it's hilly, but it's close together. But it's very, very hard to ride your bike around here, and bikes and other types of alternative vehicles, electric vehicles like scooters and such, would be a great addition. If more people would ride those type of vehicles, I think we could do with fewer cars, and we wouldn't be as dependent on gas powered cars. But we need to figure out how to make it easier for people to ride alternative vehicles around here. And I'm just wondering what you guys think about that. I think we need bike lanes, and New York City has done a really good job in trying to put in a lot of bike lanes, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of that going on in Bergen County and in North Jersey. And I don't know why, but what do you guys think about that?
Right. So the question is all about alternative transportation. I know that young adults, especially my own son, he doesn't want to drive. He navigates with his phone, right? That's what he says. What do I need to learn? I had to force him to drive, and now I feel bad about it for that very reason. But do you take alternative forms of transportation? Do you even think about that impact? And how could we encourage more people to do that kind of transportation alternatives?
Yeah, so I don't have my license. I don't drive. If I have to go somewhere, my parents will drive me. I'm very fortunate for that. Or I will take public transportation. But this is something I think about a lot. I think we need a lot more, we need to make our neighborhoods a lot more bike accessible, I think, and just like more accessible in general. I think more bike lanes, separating the bike lanes from the streets as they do in a lot of countries in Europe. I think the Netherlands is a really bike accessible country, so I think it would be worth it to look at what they're doing over there. And yeah, I think it's well worth it to invest in that bike infrastructure, just because in general I think it will make our cities just better in general to have that accessibility.
Okay, great. Anyone else want to add to that? What do you think?
I think maybe instead of bikes and scooters, I think it'll be important for more car companies to start making electric vehicles like Teslas and stuff to like reduce the carbon footprint from cars, because in my opinion, no matter what happens, cars aren't going anywhere. Some people physically are incapable of using bicycles and scooters and things like that. So I think it would be important to improve on electric vehicles and things like that, like electric cars, not just scooters and bikes.
Jeremiah?
We should invest more into public transportation, like the New York subway, so traffic could be less congested and have less pollution.
Okay, great. And I think we have a next question from Paris. Is that correct? Paris, France, signing in there. Terry, she's over in Paris right now.
Yes, I am. Okay, here's my plug, I guess. The seriousness of climate change makes me pretty nuts, but the one bright spot in the gloom is the fall like a rock cost of solar energy. If this keeps up, energy could become very, very cheap, and that would be a totally different game. So with your construction skills now, perhaps the installation of solar, I don't know, panels or whatever the right thing is, in and around town, maybe in and around our meeting house, would that be possible, feasible, something that we could directly benefit from?
So in the future, would you ever have any interest in learning? You're going to do all kinds of things, right? No one here is necessarily going to go into construction, but would you ever want to learn how to put solar panels on top of the roof of a house? Any interest in that kind of work? And what interests you about that kind of technology?
Yeah, so like I said a bit earlier, I'm really interested in the van life, and what's really popular with a lot of vans is putting solar panels on the roof so you can recharge your batteries just sitting out under the sun. So that's something I'm like as of right now, I'm planning on doing anyway, but it would be really interesting to get maybe a more formal learning experience versus off of YouTube. And I think that's a useful skill for everyone, because if this technology becomes way more accessible in the future, then everybody can just, well, not everybody, but you know, a lot of people would be able to just have solar on their roofs and get that renewable energy.
Okay. We're going to switch gears for just a bit. One of the conversations I had with you, people in my generation are digital immigrants, right, in a way they call us, where you're digital natives. You grew up with that whole thing. You've had access to technology from a pretty young age. You're all pretty savvy. In fact, when I look back, most people are on their digital devices, as are most young people today, including sometimes me, because I'm, so young. But my question for y'all is, thinking about the digital world, is it more helpful or is it more of a distraction? Do you do it because it's a distraction and it just pulls you away from other things? Or do you think that media is really helping you in some way and moving you forward? I'm going to throw this to Rafi first because he wants to go into music producing and that kind of stuff. What do you think about the digital? Are you a digital native? You're on the phone. You can communicate through that device. Do you feel it's a tool for progress, or is it just a distraction?
It's a little bit of both, because being on social media as a music producer, I can reach out to hundreds, thousands of other musicians and rappers, like, completely easily. Like, it takes no effort at all to find someone else who makes music, but at the same time, there's a lot of other things on social media that some people just don't want to see. And it's easy for anybody to lose focus and fall into like a rabbit hole of just a bunch of dark nonsense or just anything really. And there's people who seek validation from social media. There's people whose days would be ruined or made by the amount of interactions they get. So I think it's based off the individual and whatever they're using the social media platform for, is whether it's a distraction or a beneficial thing.
Okay. Others, distraction or beneficial?
I agree. I think it's a little bit of both. I am definitely on my phone, hooked up 24/7. But at the same time, I can access information and I can learn things from all around the world at any time I want. I can meet people across the world. I can have breakfast and ask someone from a Discord group, like, what are you having for dinner, because they're halfway across the world. And I just think that's really amazing that we have this technology to do this every day. Yeah.
If you could, one of you explain, just so everybody else knows, what is an influencer and what's an example of someone who does influencing? What's an influencer? Who wants to say what that is?
An influencer now is pretty much anybody who has a large following who's influencing other people, like motivating, inspiring other people to not necessarily follow along behind them, but just to do things for themselves, really, like whether it's fitness, music, sports, finance, like investing and things like that. An influencer is just somebody who's promoting a theme of some sort and trying to get other people into it.
How many people in this audience follow a media influencer? How many of you follow an influencer? Raise your hand if you do that. Who is it and what are you watching them do?
One person I would say is probably, just off the top of my head, it's a YouTuber named Kyle Beats, and basically what he does, he just records himself making music all day, every day, and promotes it, shows his workflow, shows what he does before, during, and after when it comes to turning instrumental from scratch into a platinum record or something like that.
Okay. What other influencers do people follow and why?
I probably follow quite a few influencers. One that comes to mind is this woman her name is the Black Forager. And she's an African American woman who goes around her neighborhoods and points out different wild edible plants that you can eat, and she has recipes. So she goes out in her neighborhood, she picks these free vegetables just growing around, and she cooks and makes food with them. And I think that's really cool, and I follow her.
And Jeremiah, do you follow anybody online?
I follow this one tech YouTuber. His name is Marquez Brownlee. He reviews computers, phones, and other tech gadgets.
Okay. But Luca, you don't, or you do? Pass that down to him.
I just didn't raise my hand because I don't see like the people I follow as really influencers, but more people who are just, you know, sharing what's going on and like helping me through my gym journey, and definitely stuff about cars, like learning about cars and you know, different types of cars, all like every little aspect of that. But I don't really see them as influencers because the people who I follow are more informational, more motivational than anything I would describe as an influencer.
Okay, very good. Anyone in the audience, do you have someone you follow? You do. Rose, you can tell of a certain generation. Do you have someone you follow, and tell a little bit about why?
I don't really, I don't have social media anymore. Like, I lost my phone and never re-downloaded Instagram. But I have a lot of YouTubers that I really like, but again, I don't consider any of them influencers, really. I consider them more just like political analysis, media analysis, and etc. channels that I like because I like their style and I like their approach.
So who do you follow, I guess, is the way of saying that?
The list would be really long if you want me to make a list, and I can't think of like a good all-encompassing example.
Let's try out an example of that. How many? Oh, Susanna, and then Hugh.
Hi, I use LinkedIn, and I follow Tom Robbins, Mike Bloomberg. I follow my college reports. People from my college send reports about school. Those are the three that I keep in touch with.
Okay. One more here, and then Terry.
So my name is Hugh. I follow cycling information. You know, I'm an avid cyclist, and so I follow a guy named the Lantern Rouge, which of course in France would, you know, the red lantern, and so this gentleman, he talks about, he explains the various cycle races in Europe, and you know, he explains what's going on with the various cyclists and their performance as the year goes along. I also follow a gentleman, a coach out of Scotland. His title is the Kinetic Cycle Coach, and he gives good advice as to how to start training and, you know, how to maintain your cycling fitness and so on.
Great. Thank you. Terry, you wanted to add something?
I sure do. I want to talk about a terrific group that I follow. It's called Ethical Focus. The handle is Ethical Focus on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And I really recommend everybody follow this terrific group, like their stuff, share their stuff, help the world a lot.
In fact, Terry's often reminding us that we don't do enough of that here at the Ethical Society. That's why the best kept secret. We're only talking to ourselves and maybe not sharing enough of the world out there. The reason why I asked about the influencers is that we also have a problem in this country of using media not just for good things but for nefarious activities. Is cyberbullying a real thing? Does anybody know? Do you believe that that can be pretty vicious? Have you seen that?
There's a lot of jokes made online, and cyberbullying, I just want first of all, cyberbullying is real, but I know there's a lot of jokes like, how can you get cyberbullied? Just close your computer, walk away. And honestly, I think sometimes that could be true, because if you're going back and forth with somebody on the internet who you don't even know what they look like, they don't know what you look like, they don't know where you're from, what your name is, I feel like, me personally, it wouldn't really get under my skin, but everybody's different. But where I really feel like cyberbullying is at its worst is when it's people who are still attending school and they're going to school every day, seeing the same people every day. So it's not like they can just close their computer screen, because they still have to wake up and go to school the next morning and face the same bullying they were facing online.
In fact, in the TV show Gossip Girl, is anyone a fan of the show Gossip Girl? Am I the only one who watched Gossip Girl? Any of y'all haven't seen either? The story is, of course, is that a bunch of school teachers are pretending to be another student, but they're using it also to challenge the students to think differently and behave differently, but it's getting out of control. And the storyline, and in their view, as soon as they post something, everybody in the school knows. Is that true? Do you all hook into the same thing at school or with your friends? As soon as something knows, do all of you know? Are you that digitally connected, or is that just more of a myth? Do you think you're very digitally connected to a lot of your friends and things that are happening? And so, which format do you use, and how do you find that out?
I would say yes, when you're a part of a kind of a big community like that, even if you don't know like half the people in your school, because of the way social media sites work. If you know your group of friends and one of your friends knows someone in another group of friends, it's just like a giant interconnected web like that. So sometimes if you share something, people who you don't even know, people who you've never even heard of that might go to your school, they can see it, or vice versa. If someone else posts something, you'll see it. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, so like when I was in high school, everything was connected like through mostly Instagram is the main app most people were using, and iMessage if you had people's numbers. So it's like there could be a fight at 10 a.m. and then by 10:30 you're getting your phones blowing up with the video, with several different videos of it, and then by 11 o'clock it's all over Instagram, and then sometimes they even go viral and they leave the school and the video gets out the school and it's like public all over the entire internet with tens of thousands of views of a fight that happened in like health class or something.
That's scary to some of us of a certain generation. Mm-hmm. Is that scary to you too, that things can go viral, as he called it, and spread outside and get blown up?
Yeah, especially because you never even know when somebody's recording you anymore.
Yeah. You're still in school? Do you know what's going on all the time to your friends, or do you actually talk with people, or how does that work? What is the balance, or how much does your phone play a role?
I think my phone definitely plays a pretty big role in how people are interconnected and how people know about different things that are happening, because friend groups overlap a lot, yeah, even in person, but over social medias and stuff, it overlaps even more because everyone is so interconnected. It's so easy for people to talk to each other, and I definitely think that word spreads very quickly. First it starts on either talking or on social medias or iMessage or anything like that, and it could spread so quickly. Yeah.
Yep. In fact, people in the same car I know sometimes are testing each other. So it can be that much of an intimate situation. We're going to do our one last question here. And our last question is to ask each of you, are you more hopeful about this country's future? Or are you more worried about this country's future? Or is it doesn't even register you? Where do you think you are thinking about the future of this country? We'll start just down the row here again. So Luca, put you on the spot here. Are you hopeful about the future, less hopeful, or where do you stand as a person?
I mean, I like to think that people could definitely like be good to the world and like just be helpful with the outcome of everything, like not just be so gloomy about everything. But personally, I don't really like care that much as I should.
Right, just 15-year-old response, very there. Yeah.
As much as I want to be hopeful, right now, I think the most recent kind of big event I'm thinking about is the Roe v. Wade, and it's really hard to be hopeful about this country when something so essential has just been like, it's just gone now. And it's kind of wild to me how many people don't see the importance of it. And this is something that I think would never happen or would be really, really difficult to have happen in a lot of other countries. I think the USA is sort of unique that this is the only country, not the only country at all, but one of the biggest countries where something like this could happen. And so yeah, I think it's a bit difficult right now to find hope in our future for this country.
I think for every bad thing, there's also a good thing, and for every good thing, there's a bad thing. So it's almost impossible for me to give like my opinion on how I see this country going forward. But yeah, I honestly have no idea. It could go it could go good, it could go bad. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think anybody would be able to make a realistic prediction at this point.
I think we should put in the work, and I'm very optimistic. I try to avoid the news from the mainstream and on the internet. I feel like we should do more things in the community and go out and vote to make a positive impact.
Very good. Yeah, very exciting. And one generation up from that, I'm going to give the mic to Rose for one final comment.
Well, I'm 19.
19,
Yes.
okay, same age.
I know, I was thinking maybe I should be responding to these questions too, but I wanted to respond to Anissa. Enough people care about abortion that in Kansas that they voted to protect their state constitutional right to it. So I know it doesn't seem that way, but maybe there is hope. And really it's just the number of justices on the court that Trump flooded onto the bench because Mitch McConnell let him that don't see the importance of it.
Thank you, Rose. So this was our first crew for the summer. You can see why we hired them. Pretty smart people. And let's give a round of applause for their work.